different ways you can. Okay, got it. Um, so there are academic versus non-academic recommendations. So for instance, your teachers will be an academic recommendation, and maybe an employer that you have had maybe for an internship or a co-op, or like any work that you have done in the field that you're interested in, will be a non-academic recommendation. So as you can see there, my what I do recommend when looking for someone to give you that letter of recommendation is that they need to know you well. They need to know about your academic achievements. If it is an academic letter, if it is an employer letter, then it will be like your work achievements. But also, we don't want a list. We don't want, this student has won 5 awards, participated in this, participated in bullet points. We don't want that. We want a letter. Okay. One of the things I really do recommend is, I know we have counselors in there. I have put counselors as one of the people that can give you a letter of recommendation, and this is correct. However, there is always a but. Um, my experience as well has been that counselors provide 30 letters of recommendations. So if there is a cohort of 30 students, counselors will give a letter of recommendation to these 30 students, and it will be always the same letter that will just change the name. So that's why I would highly recommend you. Normally, you can provide 3 to 2 letters of recommendations. So if the university is not requiring you to give a letter of recommendation from your counselor, in many cases they do. So double check that. Who is the university asking you to provide a letter of recommendation from? Because, as I said, in some cases it is mandatory for your counselor to give you a letter of recommendation. But if it is not mandatory, then I would suggest you just provide 2 letters of recommendations by someone else. Who would be that someone else? I would say a teacher of a subject that it aligns to the program that you're going to study. So, okay, and I'm so sorry if it's very obvious, but believe me, after doing this for quite a bit, I think it's not that obvious. But if you're applying to a program that is electronic engineering, you know, do not send me a letter of recommendation from your arts teacher. I want to see a letter of recommendation from your math teacher or from your physics teacher. Or if it is your I don't know, physics teacher that is also part of the robotic team, then that's whom you should be sending a letter of recommendation from. That is the perfect candidate. And if you're part of the robotics team and you want to apply to electronic engineering, and that is also your physics teacher, that would be an excellent letter of recommendation, because they can provide a letter of recommendation of why you're different, your leadership skills, and give specific examples because they have known you very well outside of the classroom. Right? So again, relevance to your field. If you're applying to arts, then ask a letter of recommendation from your arts teacher. This is for teachers. Now, there are some times that you might be part of the national arts team of your country. Then that is not a teacher, but that's someone I want to see a letter of recommendation from. It's the mentor, it's someone that has guided you and is someone that knows you very well in that field. So that's from whom I want to see a letter of recommendation from. Okay. And always make sure that that person provides the contact information, because we might it doesn't have to be the phone number. With the email is fine, but it's better if you can let us know where we can contact them. Okay. So next slide, please, Mariana. Until which time do we have, Mariana? Can you remind me?
Yes, until 1:30.
1:30. Oh,
Yes. Well,
okay.
1:30, 1:40.
Okay. Okay. I'm just gonna try to speed up a little bit then. So your personal statement and essay. So those are two different things. Your essay is usually, and people tend to confuse them a lot. So your essay, for your essay, you will normally have a prompt that you have to reply to. So a prompt, it's kind of like a title. They're gonna tell you, please describe what has been your hardest experience in your life, or who how have you become who you are. That is a prompt. So pretty much a question that you need to answer. uh, Usually I'm going to talk a little bit more about all of the different applications, but platforms. But usually with an essay, if you apply through a platform like the Common App, you only have to write one essay, one prompt, and that's it, right? For a personal statement, it's completely different, because this is where you're gonna talk about your personal experience, motivations, and goals, and why are you choosing that program and that university. So for the personal statement, you will have to write a personal statement for each university you're going to apply to. So generally speaking, it can be different if the university has, like a direct application system. But one essay, personal statements, it can be five, it can be six. It depends on how many universities you want to apply to. Because again, you have to tailor it. Don't send that same personal statement to each university, because they're going to realize you have to tailor the personal statement to the program and the university. You have to say why you chose that program and why you chose that university. Next. So, um, another we can share these slides with them, right, Mariana?
Can you say it again?
We can share these slides
Of
with
course.
them. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Okay. Perfect. So I'm not going to dive into this that much, because I think we can um you guys kind of can see what do I mean by adding all of the curricular activities. But basically, if you have had any leadership roles, clubs, organizations, I know many of you participate in UN models. So that's a key thing. You can also, if you participate in a UN model, you can also ask the teacher that organizes that, to give you a letter of recommendation, for instance. So anything that proves that you have been into leadership roles, community service, if you have done any volunteer work, this can be at your church as well. So if you want to, like provide any document from your church, it says like, oh, this person actually has done some volunteer work for us. That's great. Internships or research opportunities if you belong to any sports or athletics group. And I don't mean professionally, like it doesn't have to be professionally, because otherwise, we wouldn't have any, this wouldn't be called extracurricular activities. You can add this if you do it as a hobby. If you just belong to a team, because this what shows us is that you can balance academic work with sports, or with doing something else. We don't want to see a student that is a square and that it's only about academics. And I want to be very empathetic, like make a lot of emphasis on this. It is great to have good grades. I'm not saying that you shouldn't. It is a must. But right now, unfortunately for students, the education world has become so competitive that is not the only thing we're going to see. If we have two, three students with exactly the same grades, but one of the students has done leadership roles, has belonged to a sports team, has done academic competitions, that is the student that is going to stand out. Okay, so that's why I want to make a lot of emphasis on this. If we do volunteer work and leadership in the same organization, we separate it. No, it will be the same, because it's showing the same skill. Okay, so I think with this, we can go into the next slide, Mariana. So, okay, they are different. So the last step of all of these, once you have all of these documents, all of these requirements, everything we have talked about, and you have already decided which program you want to study, there are, and I'm going, this is a lot of information. I could have another session completely only about this. So I'm gonna try to be very brief. But once you have all of this and you know which kind of universities you want to study at and what is their application process, normally universities use these three kind of like ways to apply for you to apply. So the most common one is the common application. So commonly known as Common App. If you hear anyone saying Common App, that's it. So in the Common App, you can create your profile. Pretty much 900 colleges and universities who use this common application, Xavier being one of them. Um, and you can just create your profile and use that profile with your academic history, extracurricular activities, essays, everything. You can just put it in that platform and then you can apply to multiple universities at the same time. What you need to be careful is that to complete your application for each one of the universities that you're going to apply to, which you can register in the Common App, you need to make sure that you also submit your application for each one of them. Because for instance, you're gonna, even though the general information is in there, you're gonna have to go into that profile of that university that you want to apply to and do, for instance, the personal statement. Check that that university, if that university is asking for any extra information besides the general information provided in the Common App. So just please make sure that there are many instructions in the Common App platform that guides you on to how to apply. I don't know if Education USA has already done a workshop about how to fill the Common App.
We are actually the second part of today's session. We have Courtney Sears from Texas State University, and she will be talking about the Common App, like specific,
Okay.
like she will dive into the Common App and also
Wonderful.
the CCS profile.
Oh, wonderful, because that's the main thing that you need to take into account. So yes, definitely go ahead into that session because yeah, that's really important. Another application is also another platform is the coalition application. It's not used that much, but I have been told that one of the things, especially counselors like, is that you can save the documents, projects, and everything in there. Um, and they say that it's more user friendly than the Common App. I have only worked with the Common App. For me, that is the best one. And the third one will be when universities have their own application process, their own platform. So it is the case, for instance, for Xavier that we use Common App. But sometimes when Common App, closes the early action deadline or rolling deadline, we allow students to use our own platform. So you can apply through both. Okay. And then next slide. So these are all other things to consider. So one is that there are many universities that will ask you for an application fee. These application fees can go from $0 to $100. So that's something that you need to take into account because many students want to apply to 20 universities. That will be if they charge you $100 per application, that will be $2,000 just to apply to university. So please, again, make sure that you do your research and check if the university that you want to apply to charges an application fee. Okay. The deadlines. This is, again, I cannot emphasize the importance of taking into consideration the deadlines, because if you contact me December 1st, December 1st was 2023, so last year. I think this year is going to be November 1st, but I wasn't able to kind of like verify that information. But again, if you contact me December 1st at 11 p.m., there is nothing I can do. Even if I wanted to, There is absolutely nothing I can do. Okay.
In Education USA, Rosario, like advisors usually work a month before the actual application deadline. So we have more
Okay.
time to work on the final details of the application. But yeah, if students are working with their school counselors, they can work in their way. But for students who do not have school counselors in their schools, the Education USA advisors usually work with a month. I mean, we set a deadline a month before the actual deadline just to make sure that students can complete everything.
You need to tell me that trick, Mariana, because I have tried to establish that with my students, and they they just think I can do wonders and magic, and yeah.
Yeah, our students too,
Okay.
but like yeah, we have developed yeah quite of a system for them to and also
Okay.
to work with their families. So
Yeah.
so everyone involved know that they have to submit everything in a
Okay.
particular day.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Okay, so one of the things I was mentioning was the difference between early decision and the early action. So please take into account that if you're applying for early decision, this is binding, meaning that if you apply for a university that is early decision and they say, yes, you have been accepted, you cannot change your mind. You have to go and study at that university. This is for early decision. Please do not confuse this with early action deadline. Two different things. Early decision is binding, early action is not binding. Early action is normally used for those programs that are very, very demanded. So I highly advise you to check if the program that you want to apply is very demanding at that university, because if it is, I highly recommend you. Many of them close their applications by early action deadline, and they don't accept any applications any further, even by rolling deadline, because it's so demanding that they can't. They physically can't evaluate all of those admissions, all of those applications. So do not confuse it. Early action normally is just was December 1st last year. And then there is rolling admission. So you can apply to March 1st for certain programs. This is, I'm guiding you through the Common App application, which is normally, um, which are normally the deadlines that universities go by, right? The reason why I'm emphasizing so much into the deadlines is because of something I have mentioned before. This, if you apply by early action deadline, which is something that I highly, 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 highly recommend, then you're gonna have time to apply for more scholarships, financial aid programs, and of course, most important than everything, your visa application. Please take into consideration that to apply for your visa, you need to have financial requirements in order. And to have that, in many cases, you would have had to already know if you have been accepted, if you have been granted that scholarship or that financial aid, because that's going to be taken away from your financial requirements for your I-20. Again, this, I could have another 40 minutes to talk about this. So I just want to make sure you understand the importance of applying by early action. So we can't say no to early decision. No, you cannot say no to early decision. Difference to early action. Early action, you can say no. It is okay to say no. Early decision, absolutely no. You have to go to and study at that university. Okay. Next slide. Okay, I think we only have 2 minutes, so I'm not gonna talk about all of the wonders of Cincinnati, Ohio. I think we
Don't
can
worry,
just
you have more time. Don't worry because we
okay,
need to we will make a pause from one in Mexico City time 1:45 to 2 p.m.
okay,
So you have time for Q&A and to finish there's no rush.
okay,
Don't worry.
okay. Great. So I know many of you don't know where Ohio is, but as you can see in the map, it's kind of close to Chicago and New York. It's kind of like in between, so it's in on that side of the map. It has been named one of number one city for new college graduates. One thing I do want you to keep in mind is that we have more 500 Forbes companies located in Cincinnati per capita. located in Cincinnati than New York and Los Angeles. And the reason for that is because we're cheaper. So many of the headquarters of these big companies that you all want to work at are located in Cincinnati. Okay, so you will have lots of job opportunities there as an international student, especially because it's not a saturated market. Many of these international students want to go to California or Florida or like, like all of these very well known destinations. But and that's why sometimes it's a little bit hard for them to find a job because it's a very competitive, there is a lot of competition. In Cincinnati, we don't have that many international students, so it might be a little bit easier for you. And we do have, again, more 500 Forbes company than per capita than Los Angeles and New York. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, these are the rankings of Xavier University. We have more than 90 undergrad degrees programs. One of the advantages of the study at Xavier University, I do want to emphasize of that, is that we are not a huge school. We have about 7,000 students, which means our classes are small. So you will have to, like, your teacher will know your name. They can, provide guidance to you. You're not gonna be just that one person in a 200 classroom student. And I think this is very important to international students because you need to find ways to stand out, and it's really hard to do that when you're in a class with 100 students. So I do want to make sure you know that at Xavier we're very well known for that kind of like extra attention that we give to the students, just because we are, we have smaller classes. And yeah, that's why we have 94% retention rate for international students. So next slide. Well, we're also a Catholic Jesuit heritage university. Having said that, we don't enforce um, that faith. It's a normal private university in the United States. Next slide. But I'm just mentioning because, like, if you um, cross path with that information, don't think that we enforce anything or on anyone. So these are kind of like the companies that many of our students have gone to work at. And the reason for this as well, you can see that there are very big names there, is because the headquarters of these companies are located in Cincinnati. So it's just easier, of course, to like find a job there. Okay, next slide. So these are some of the programs um, that you can apply as an international student. We have international business, which is one of our most kind of like well-known programs. Business as well. You can choose business undecided, or you can do business analytics and information systems. And I do want to focus on this course, business analytics and information systems, because that's not something that we tend to have in Latin America, a combination of programs like this. So I do highly encourage you to check it out. It's a really interesting program, especially in the current world that we're living in. And it's a mix of kind of like two programs with one. Okay. Of course, we also do have computer science, engineering, physics, entrepreneurship, and innovation. And another program I also want to emphasize on is biomedical sciences. Biomedical sciences, it's kind of like, again, a very good program that we have. So if you're interested in that, I highly advise you to check it out. Okay, next slide. These are just some of the rankings. We are top one national recognition for computer science and cybersecurity, number 23 for best business analytics programs in the nation, for healthcare as well, and nursing. We are at top 10. And for political sciences as well in Ohio. That's in Ohio, no nationwide. Next slide. Okay, so what are the application requirements to apply to Xavier University? So again, I'm just going to go very fast because we have already talked about this. You can apply through the Common App or directly through the Xavier application app. We do require, there is a no application fee, so you can apply for free. We don't charge for it. again, same requirements: academic transcripts, test of English proficiency. These are all of the tests that we accept. So we do accept Duolingo. The minimum requirement to apply the GPA is 3. We are SAT optional, so it is up to you if you know, send it or not. The essay, the letter of recommendations, and all of these materials can be emailed to that email that is just right there. Next slide, please. So these are kind of like the admission process and the deadlines I have already gone through. So I think we can just pass that slide. And yep, think if you have any questions or there is anything you would like to know.
Yes, so there's a time for you guys to ask questions and your ideas to Rosario. Right after it, there's a break, and then we will have the session with Courtney Sears. That is, I think, here. Still, maybe, yeah, she's still here. Hi, Courtney. Thank you so much for joining. Hello. So if you have any questions, guys, for Rosario, it's time to ask. I have a lot of questions actually, because Rosario is fantastic at explaining things. So, do you have any questions?
Thank you so much, Mariana.
Of course. Sophia, go ahead.
Okay, so what if I got in a university with a small scholarship and another give me a bigger one, and I applied in early decision, I think.
Early action. Early action or early decision?
Decision, when you
Okay.
can say no.
If you apply to both for early decision?
No, only for one.
Okay, you will need to go with the one did you apply for early decision.
So
because early decision is binding.
I would have to find a way to pay it, or maybe I would have time to earn.
You will need to check. You will need to check with the university what the process would be for that. But that's why, unless it's the university of your dreams and the only university you're applying to, I do not highly recommend early decision. Early action will be the one I would recommend, because it is up to you at the end what you decide to do. But yeah, you will have to go by the early decision, because early decision is binding, and then you will just have to check the process with that university specifically.
And I just want to add to that, Sophia, that in Education USA, you remember that in the first session we explained the 5 steps that we follow to apply for admission to a U.S. university, and the step number 1 is research your options. And our advice as advisors from Education USA is that you cannot apply to a university that accepts you, and knowing that, for example, that university won't offer you any financial aid. That doesn't make any sense, right? So we make sure that you apply to a university that fits your financial needs, that fits your personal, like requirements. But it doesn't make any sense that, for example, if you apply to early decision, you will say no to a university that's like from the beginning, you knew that that school wouldn't give you anything, right? So that doesn't make any sense. And I just forgot something, but I will remember. Pilar, go ahead.
Yeah, I already asked this to Mariana Monday, I think, but still, I want to ask. I don't know if it's only from a certain university or it's your university too, Rosario. But when applying to financial aid, does it matter in what time do I apply to university, whether I choose to make an early decision or an early action or regular decision? Does the possibility of having financial aid have to do with the fact of applying earlier or later?
So the answer to that will be yes and no. So and the reason why is yes and no is because if you're applying by, let's say, early action to a course that is highly demanded, and you weren't able to apply on early action, then all of the decisions would have already been made, right? And you're probably not going to be able to even be accepted in the course. So of course all of the scholarships would have already been decided. And this is, I'm talking about really high demanded programs, maybe at a large public university, which is why, I do, again, and I do highly recommend you to have a look at the deadlines, especially for early action, because if, the program that you want to apply to has already closed, then, of course you're not going to get any scholarship because you're not going to be even being admitted to the program. Now, I have to say, this is not the case of, like, for instance, applications are open August 1st to December 1st for early action deadline. Let's say we have a student that applied on September, and then we have another student that applied in November. Both of them applied before the early action deadline closed. Both of those students are going to be treated the same, so that's why I said yes and no, because it doesn't matter when you apply. What it matters is that you do it before the deadline. That's the most important thing.
Thank you, Pilar,
Thank
for
you.
that question. Thank you. Someone else? Does anyone have more questions? It's now or never. No, I'm kidding. We can invite Pilar, Rosario, excuse me. It's just because I was seeing Pilar. We can invite Rosario anytime. Natalia, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I'm not sure if you already answered it, but I'm kind of confused with early decision and early action. And can I apply with early action to many universities?
Yes, you can. So for the difference between early decision and early action is that for early decision, if you decide to apply to a program that has early decision and you get accepted into that program, you have to go and study in that program. So it's mandatory. You cannot go and study at another university. You have to go to that university. Early action is different. Early action just means that you applied early. And in many cases, for some, like really large public universities with highly demanded programs, the only time that you can apply to that specific program is during early action. So yes, the answer is for early action, you can apply to as many universities and programs that you want, taking into account the application fee, if they charge an application fee. But yes, early action, yes. Early decision, no, absolutely no. Okay, Lisa, you had a question.
Yes. I wanted to ask if you have if you have been in a college, do you count as a transfer in every university? Like if I have been.
If you have that is going to, well, I mean, I cannot reply for like every university, but the universities I have worked with and that I know of, if you have already studied at another university in the US, and even if you have studied at another university in Mexico and you want to continue your studies, at another university in the US, you will be considered a transfer student because you have already credits. And in many cases, if you have studied 2 semesters, 3 semesters, and this is when the course by course evaluation, actually is when it takes more relevance, because it's when we're going to know if we're going to accept, that's going to help us to decide which subjects we're going to accept and which credits we're going to accept for you into our university. So yes, if you have already studied at another university in your country, in another country, and you want to study at a new university in the United States or within the United States, but you want to study now, you used to study for, sorry to use the example of my colleague here, Texas University, and then you want to transfer to Xavier, you would be considered a transfer student 100%.
Okay, well, another thing. Well, I just did one semester, but I didn't finish it. So
That still counts as a transfer?
It will still count as a transfer because you have
Okay.
already been enrolled at a university in your country. So
Okay.
even if you haven't finished it, we still need to have that on our records and we still
Okay.
need to know about it. Okay.
Thank
And
you.
that means that we will also need 4 years, the 4 years of your academic transcripts. And if you had any grades as well of the current university you're studying at, we also need that information, even if you didn't finish it.
Okay, thank you.
No worries. Ana Ruedas y Mariana Herrera, both of them had questions.
Yes, you say there are fees we have to pay in the application, but yesterday they told us about application fee waivers. Could you talk a little bit more about that, please?
Yes, sure. And I'm sure that's probably something my colleague will explain a little bit further with the Common App. But the Common App does have a section that you can apply to as a fee waiver. That is in the Common App application. So that is correct. Unfortunately, that does not apply to every university. So if there are universities that do not use the Common App, they have their own application platforms and they charge for the application. You will need to check with them specifically if there are any fee waivers. But the Common App does have a section that you can apply to for a fee waiver. So yes, that is correct. There are certain fee waivers.
But
Thank
for
you.
Xavier,
Oh,
there's
we
a
don't
general application fee. I mean, there you don't charge for the application
we
fee.
don't charge. Yeah, we don't charge. So there are certain universities as well, as Xavier University, where we don't charge for you to apply to our university. It's free. Let's just use the it's free. You can apply to Xavier for free.
Thank you. Thank you so
No
much,
worries.
Rosario. Anna, go ahead.
Well, I go to a technological high school, which means I'm going to have a degree and my classes are like different. So it's gonna sound like kind of dumb, but who can I ask for the course by course evaluation? Because I really think I'm gonna need it because the classes are like super different from the normal high school.
Yeah, 100%. And that is not a dumb question. But yes, I would highly recommend that if you are studying at a technical school that is a little bit hard to understand for a admissions officer at the university in the US, 100% you will need a course by course. It's something that I would recommend. It won't be mandatory, but I would recommend. Who you should ask, that is a little bit of a tricky question because I don't know which high school you go to. There are different people. I would say just go to maybe the director of your program and ask them that question. Usually it's just the administrative officer, the administration office of your school that will provide those records. In many cases, you can ask it from your counselor. If the counselor is not the right person, then there is in Colombia we call it academic secretary. So you can go to that academic secretary and ask for those documents as well. So it will depend. It can be or your counselor or the director of your program, or in some cases the academic kind of like officers of the school that you are currently studying at.
And if no one in the end can help you, you can reach out to your your Education USA advisor, and that Education USA advisor can help your school to help you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And I do have to say as well, like once you have you decide to which university you want to apply to, in some cases the university representative do help with those kind of things. Not all, because it depends on how you approach that question. But again, it doesn't work for every university representative, but I like personally to work closely. Let's say if I know Education USA, let's say Mariana is helping you with your whole application process. I personally like to work closely with Mariana, just so that we are both aware of the whole process and the difficulties that the student is facing. Yes, so there are a lot of people that can help. So don't worry too much about that.
Exactly, exactly. That's a great way to wrap up this discussion. We are here to help you and we're happy to do it. Rosario, once again, thank you so much for your time today. I think it's been like a truly pleasure to have you. And before we go to the break, I would like to ask everyone to turn on their cameras if you feel comfortable uh with doing it. So we can take a nice picture, a screenshot actually, of this session. So I will give you some seconds.
Ramiro, hello. Sorry, I didn't see Ramiro there.
I know. He was really busy. So thank you, Courtney. So okay, I'll take two shots, two pictures. So I'll start right now by saying 1, 2, 3. And another one, just give me 1 sec. Okay, whoops, 1, 2, 3. Perfect, okay, thank you so much. Ramiro, would you like to say something else before we go to the break? And we have Courtney, yay!
Thank you, Courtney, for joining us. Thank you, Rosario, for your time and your dedication. Your presentation was amazing. And
Thank
we
you.
will be having another presentation with Xavier University at the very end of this bootcamp. So please invite your parents. That session will be very interesting. And well, thank you. Thank you so much once again for your time, Rosario. I hope to see you in my center soon.
I hope to see you too. That is in my plans, but let's see how it goes. And nice to meet you, Courtney. I hope we get to meet each other, in Latin America sometime soon.
Yes, I would love that. Nice to meet you as well.
Bye, bye. Have a lovely session. Bye.
Okay, so now we have 9 minutes to go to the bathroom, just stretch, grab some snack, and we'll see you here at 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock Mexico City time. So, okay, see you then.
Xavier University. As Xavier University mentioned earlier, a lot of universities use this platform. Like she also said, we had the same point, the 900 colleges and universities worldwide. So it is a really great system. And once you do one application, so for example, say you do Xavier University, and then you say, okay, well, while I'm applying today, I want to turn around and apply to Texas State. You can just do it back to back, and the applications are laid out the same. So it does make that an easier process, that the application flow is the same. Now, keep in mind when you are filling out a Common App application, what you do is when you log in, you select what university you want to apply to. Like I mentioned, there are 900, so it might take you a while to filter through to find the one that you're looking for, but rest assured, there is an easy search and filter field for you. Once you select that institution, so for example, if you selected Texas State, it's going to pop up different questions than if you selected Xavier University because we both require different things. You can see what we require in advance by going to any university's webpage in advance before you can apply. But just know if you are filling out Texas State and then you start a different university and you're like, oh, they are now asking me for my extracurricular activities. Well, that's just because we all ask different things. But Common App does a really great job in dividing the application into different sections. So when you first start, it will ask your personal information. So I know someone on the call mentioned earlier your citizenship. Are you a U.S. citizenship or citizen? Are you dual? Etc. It'll ask you your name, background, and then once you finish, it'll take you then to your academic history. So your time in high school, did you attend college already? Were you want to upload your college transcripts? And then it will keep going through extracurricular activities, essays, etc. Now, we do accept Common App, so before you apply, yes, there's 900 colleges and universities, but please double check before you start your application that your university that you're wanting to apply to does use Common App. Not every university and college do. There's a lot of different institutions in the US, so definitely double check before you take time to research to see they do accept Common App. Now, like I mentioned, there are key components within Common App. So there are your profile information, family information, etc. So I did write out all of the breakdowns that you would potentially have in your application. The benefit of Common App, if a university does offer two options, like for Texas State, we let you choose. You can use Common App if you would like to apply, or you can use Apply Texas. So we don't use CSS personally for our institution. Like Xavier University, they mentioned they do not use it, but she did mention they use Common App like we do, and they have also their own application that they've created. So definitely that's why researching is very important before you begin the process to ensure what is the application that your institution of interest is accepting. But if the university you are interested in is accepting Common App, the benefit to it is that you can just apply to a lot of colleges within that portal, and you can click the different universities you have applied to make sure you have all of your documents in each profile. So it is a really great tool that can help you apply to a lot of US colleges in one sitting if you choose. Now, when it comes to filling out each component successfully, now our admissions team is happy to help you at any point in time you have questions, or even myself. Like Ramiro mentioned, I worked in international affairs right now. So if you ever have questions at all, I am the international student contact, so I'm happy to help guide you. And I'm sure Education USA has heard of Common App and utilizes this platform as well quite often. So on both sides of the spectrum, we are both willing to team up and help you so you have a seamless process. Now, when it comes to filling out the components to the best of your ability, I wanted to share just some research that I found to help it not only be easier for you, but also things to consider when you are filling out each section. So in the profile information section, it's good to have accuracy, consistency, and of course, completeness. Sometimes if you are applying to a lot of universities, I remember in high school trying to write down every university, and then sometimes I'd be like, oh, I forgot to send them my transcript, or oh, I forgot to provide this. So it's really making sure that you have all the details in front of you. Take time to gather your documents and say, okay, Xavier University needs this. I'm gonna go through, do the application for them with everything that I've found that they need, and then I'll start another one. Sometimes when you bounce around, it can get really overwhelming just because there are a lot of different materials needed. But if you prepare really far in advance, when you go to apply, it'll be a lot easier for you. Now, something I do want to mention that Xavier University brought up a really good point. With Common App, they are in control of their opening dates. So for example, for Texas State, internally, we are happy to welcome students for 2025. But with Common App, they do not open their application for universities until October, in August. So for August, then it will say, hey, now all of these US universities, you can apply now for spring 2025. So if you are interested and already have a day in mind, a lot of universities in the US are happy to welcome you. They just can't physically open Common App since it's its own company and they have their own policy set in place. But the good news is you can take that time to prepare and get all of your documents together. But just keep in mind, if you do reach out to colleges, that's the reasoning that they don't have their applications open yet. So kind of following from the profile information, this one is usually pretty easy because honestly, it's just about you and your background. Really where it gets into a little bit more detail would be your family information. So the financials, right? That's probably one of the biggest questions you have. And with every university, there will be a little bit of difference when it comes to financials because every university in the US has different costs when it comes to tuition, when it comes to living on campus. For Xavier University, I don't think I hopped on when she mentioned price. Maybe she did. But if not, for example, a public university's cost will be a lot different than a private college. So just keep that in mind when you go to upload your financial details. Almost every university has a page on our website where we have financial details for international students because we issue you an I-20. If no one's ever heard of an I-20 before, to be able to come into the US, we send you an immigration document and you carry that with you the whole time. And that way you can come to our university seamlessly. So really it's showing the US government that you are able to come to the United States to finance your studies, which is very important. So if something were to ever happen, you're showing, yes, I do have funding. I can take care of myself, being here in the US, of course, with the support of us as well. So with the financial details, just ensure that whatever university you're applying to, you take time to look at how much does the tuition cost. So for example, on our webpage, you need to show this on your bank statement. So we make it super transparent. This is what we need. Now you can upload different finances. So for our institution, we allow you to upload, say your grandma is giving you money to go to college. So your sweet grandma is loaning you money. You can upload her financial statement. You can upload your dad. If Mariana is willing to pay for some of your school, you can upload her bank statement. So it doesn't have to be one person with all that funding on one transcript. We allow different different financial documents. We combine them and say, okay, they do meet the required amount that we need for them to study here. Just be sure to take time and look and make sure your university accepts that. A lot of public institutions do it, but when it comes to private, they may be a little different. So just double check that on their website. And also be honest. It's really important. We'll find out, we do issue your immigration documents. And so we want you to be honest about your financial situation. We want you to succeed in college. We don't want you to be frustrated or overwhelmed worrying about your financial situation. So that's really important for us. Now you can, in this time, something that's very important that I just thought of is when you're applying to university, you can't apply for scholarships yet. So you cannot apply until you're admitted. So, if you're thinking, okay, I'm going to upload this financial document, so my bank statement from my bank, and I'm hoping that I get this scholarship at Texas State. Well, you don't have it yet, so you can't kind of hope that you're going to get it. You do have to show all of the funding up front. So that's definitely something to consider before applying. And now when you get a scholarship afterwards, it will be a really good surprise that you'll be like, this bank statement that I originally uploaded, it's going to be way less. But just know in the application process, they might require higher funding showing on your bank statement just because you can't apply for scholarships until you're admitted to a school. So going from that, I heard Education USA mention this, and it is true where you do need to upload your high school transcript in Spanish and in English. A lot of universities do require both. We do not do translation services, but the good thing is we do not ask you to send your transcript off to companies. So for example, some US universities will ask you to send off your transcript to have it evaluated because in the US, we use a 4-point scale. And in other parts of the world, they do not use a 4-point scale for their GPA. So what sometimes you have to do is you have to send your transcript to a company, they evaluate it for you, and then you send it to us. We do not require that at Texas State. A lot of public schools do not. Where you upload your high school transcript as it is, just in Spanish, just in English, and we calculate your US GPA for you. So that's a really good cost saver. You don't have to pay for it. We're just doing it because we understand the struggle of when it comes to having to pay for those services. So that's definitely something to consider. So yes, please be sure to upload your high school transcripts in both of those languages. I heard someone also mention they went to college. So if you went to college, it's also the same criteria where we need both languages as well. Now, please be sure to highlight your achievements. Some universities, like Xavier University, it was very important to them to see your achievements. So whether you're in student organizations, you got honors for really high awards. So please be sure to list that in your application. There'll be little, how would you say, like file upload sections. So you can upload pictures of your achievements if that makes you feel comfortable. You can type them all out in a comments section. So this could be really nice so that they can see the awards that you received in high school and or college if you've attended it so far. Now, I work with a lot of students who decide to take a break. So after high school, you might think, oh my gosh, I'm tired of studying. I need a mental break. So you might work for a few years and then you decide you want to go back to school. And that's perfectly fine. At Texas State, we accept gap years. We do not hold it against everyone. We understand that life, sometimes you need a break. But really, if you do have a gap, or took time where you were not in school, be sure to explain why. What did you do during this time? Were you involved? Were you working? Were you volunteering? Because for a lot of schools, this can be very important. Not all schools accept gap years, but a lot of them do if you have a really great reasoning. So definitely keep that in mind. Now, kind of going on to the next component, it does include testing, writing, and activities. So when it comes to testing, we will need your English. So I did hear Xavier University mention that. And she, as we say in English, hit it right on the head. So it means she got it exactly right, where we need TOEFL, IELTS, Duolingo, etc. I did want to mention that, not all universities accept the same scores. So I used to work at a college where we did not accept Duolingo, but at Texas State we do. So definitely, again, that's why it's important to research to ensure that you have the test that they're requiring, because you wouldn't like to take Duolingo and then you're getting ready to apply and you're like, oh my goodness, they don't even accept it. So definitely take time to find a test that works with all of the universities that you want to apply to, and that way it will be valid for every application you submit. But yes, so you will have to upload your test in here. And you also have to send your English exams to the university. So what we do at Texas State is when you say you take TOEFL. So when you take your TOEFL test, at the very end, it asks you which universities do you want to send these scores to. Be sure to list, I think it might be 4 universities, if I'm not mistaken, of how many. 4, perfect. Thank you. That you guys want to send your scores to, because yes, we will accept a picture, but we actually need TOEFL to send us the scores to show in their system that you took it. So for Common App, it's okay to upload a picture. Just know that every university will email you back and say, hey, we have your picture through Common App. That's wonderful, but we need you to send it through TOEFL or Duolingo. It's all the same. So definitely keep that in your mind outside of uploading a picture or writing your scores in the application. So when it comes to writing, you can provide a personal statement. At Texas State, we do not require this. So again, with Xavier University, I know she mentioned they do encourage this because they look at it at a holistic approach. So please feel free to upload a personal statement that reflects your, personality, values, and goals in life, especially goals with the majors. I heard Xavier University gave a really good example. Your personal statement to the major that you want. So for example, mine's international business. That's what I studied in college. So my personal statement would say, hey, my name is Courtney. My goal is to have a master's in international business so I can do X, Y, Z. So really tying it to your future career goals as well. But yes, we're happy to help you with that too. We do have writing services at Texas State. A lot of universities do have that as well. And I'm sure Education USA has seen quite a few personal statements that if you just wanted someone to read over it and say, hey, how does this look? I'm sure we'd be happy to help you on both aspects. Also, for editing and review, it's super important to go back and just double check. Have your friends read it, again, Education USA, your counselors, because I have seen a lot of personal statements where it wasn't as best as it could have been. Because, you know, when you're writing, trying to do a bunch of essays to apply to a bunch of universities, sometimes you type in the wrong university name. Sometimes you type in a program they don't have at the university. So I have seen this quite often. So just be sure when you are doing a personal statement that you double check that it is for the institution you're applying to and they have the right program. Because when an admission counselor sees the personal statement, they're like, oh, they actually put, you know, Xavier University instead of our name, they will not count it. So that's very important to have someone just double check that so you don't have to redo it. And outside of this, again, the activities and work experience. I know coming from high school, you might not have work experience. For in the US, we start working at a young age. So it might be like little things like babysitting a dog. I have a dog, so I'd go dog sit or cleaning the house. Really anything you can tie into work experience because they're all learning experiences no matter what you're doing. Even washing a car, you know, you're learning to organize, you know, I need to have this done by this time for this person. I'm doing customer care because this is for XYZ person. So really anything you've done to show just a little bit of work experience, even in your daily life, even if you don't have a specific like job per se. Now with extracurricular activities, like she mentioned earlier, again, this could be involved with sports, it could be volunteer experiences, and really write in detail, what did you do? When did you do it? Who did you do it with? Was it with your school? Was it with a local organization within your country? Just make it as specific as possible. Really what a lot of universities do utilize this for, again, with our public institution, we don't require this at all, but a lot of other institutions do utilize it to see how you'll perform as a student. Is your time commitment? Are you going to make time for your studies? If you want to work on campus, which is a big thing in the US for students, do you have time or will you have the drive to do it? So that is what they also look at this information for, to ensure that you're willing to take initiative to not only one, study by yourself and perform well, but also that you have, again, that leadership capacity to be able to succeed in college, because you'll be on your own when you come to us. Of course, we'll be here to help you, but you will be far from your family. We want to ensure that you're willing to take that initiative to do it. Now, I did list it here. Do all universities have the same Common App requirements? No, we're all very different when it comes to our testing policies. Every state in the US, as you probably know, we're all even very different from each other. And so with that, we do have different application fees. But the good thing is in Common App works with every university to make their application. So there's nothing you need to worry about when it comes to, oh my goodness, is Texas State's going to look a lot different, you know, than Xavier's. The universities handle creating and making the application with Common App. The most important thing for you, again, is to just double check the university's website. Because I noticed Xavier University say they don't have application fees, but Texas State does. So you definitely would want to make sure before you apply. You know, you would notice an application fee section pop up in your application for us. But yes, Common App guides you through the whole process. So whenever you're filling out Common App, it will alert you if something's incorrect, if you didn't upload a file, if something's missing for our institution. So just know that it will alert you multiple ways to ensure that you have everything filled out in the application. Now, when it comes to CSS, again, this is a really great portal as well, used through College Board. So if you've never heard of CCS or CSS, really it's tied to a company called College Board. Texas State does not use this profile or Xavier, but I do know a lot of institutions that do. So it could be very helpful and for you, again, to have an understanding in case the university you're applying to wants you to utilize this profile. But with CSS, it is like financial aid application that's just, again, administered through College Board, which is a separate company. So unlike the FAFSA, you guys have probably heard of the FAFSA, but if not, that is financial aid that is rewarded in the United States. So just for simpler terms, that's what that means. So with the CSS profile, it can be used by college and universities to help award this type of financial aid. So with our institution, we just utilize your common application, and we award institutional aid through our tuition assistance for Mexican students. So if you are a Mexican student, we have a simple form on our webpage. A lot of Texas universities have this same tuition assistance only for Mexican students. So I would highly encourage you, if you haven't taken a look at those, to do so. They have their own application online that you fill out rather than doing this CSS. So just wanted to point that out. But it does collect detailed information about your family finances, income, a lot of things. Honestly, when I'm in high school, you don't think about those things because you have your parents, you have your family. So when you are filling this out, even with my parents for financial aid, I had both of my parents in my room side by side, and they helped me fill it out. Because, you know, if your family is helping you through high school, if they're helping you with finances, if they're working and you don't have an income to upload, they're going to have to be the ones that show their information. So definitely have your family sit with you and go through this, so that way you have all of your finances that this CSS is going to ask you, because it will be rewarding, again, a type of financial aid. Some universities, like I mentioned, will need you to create your own CSS profile to even be considered for financial aid or scholarships even. So that's something to keep in mind. You will be notified, so it's not something you need to worry about, like, oh my goodness, like, how am I going to know? The universities all have a system where we notify you if you need to create this profile or not. So with ours, we email you and say, hey, for our scholarships, here's how you apply. So you don't have to worry about seeking this type of information out on your own. Of course, if you just wanted to know in advance before applying to the school. But definitely keep in mind that some universities will even need it for scholarship purposes. So when it comes to different sections in this type of portal, it will ask you student information because you're the one going to the school. So they're going to want your information, again, the citizenship, your first name, last name, your birthday, just typical information that you get for you. Really, I feel like I'm going to a hospital because it feels like the same type of information that I'm giving them every time. But outside of that basic information, it will be your household information. So they will ask you questions about your mom's, bank statement, your dad, how much are they making? It can be really deep in detail very fast. So how much are they making monthly? Do you have a bank statement over the past, 6 months? So that's why, again, it is really good to have the family members or support even. Let me get rid of that. When it comes to having them be there for you, because it is a lot of detail when it comes to finances. So not only your household information, so like, again, your parent financial situation, but information about your parents. So they'll ask for their birthday, their first name, last name, just because they are the ones that will show their bank statements. So they want to make sure it's matching that person. And also there will be institution specific questions. So every institution can add their own little question that they want to ask a student, and that is what that section is for. It will tell you benefits about doing CSS. So it pops up, here are the benefits for doing it, and then you can move on. Expenses of the institution, so that you know up front, and how much the institution wants you to show in your profile. And again, this questions that the institution wants to ask you directly, that they want you to answer in that application. It is important to note that this profile, so CSS, is more detailed, but the good thing is it is easier than the FAFSA. So it is more comprehensive, it's more put together. I still have flashbacks about financial aid, so it's good that you guys won't have to do the FAFSA. But yes, definitely take time to make sure each section is filled out thoroughly, especially when it comes to finances, because you don't want to put something wrong and you don't get a scholarship because you listed the wrong information. So the importance of this profile is to have access, again, to institutional aid and for some institutions, scholarships. The application for CSS is opening October 1st. So if you are wanting to apply to university in the near future, be sure to mark down October 1st in your calendar with a really big star next to it, because that's when you can go ahead and sit with your parents or sit with EducationUSA and go through this profile. It does give you a competitive advantage for some institutions, just because, again, they do require this, so it makes it easier compared to students who might not fill it out. So again, when I mentioned earlier, some universities award scholarships that way. If you fill this out, it goes to that institution, but your friend did not fill it out, then you have more of a chance to get scholarships compared to the individual who did not submit a CSS profile. But this does play a crucial role, again, in helping students with financial aid in private universities and public. So mostly private universities, like I mentioned, Texas State, we don't require it, but I won't speak on behalf of all public because there's quite a few of us. But it does make education more affordable for you and your family, especially since the scholarships and financial aid are awarded through this portal. I don't know why this font is so big. I'm so sorry. I just like, but this is tips for completing the CSS profile. It can be, again, more involved because it is a lot of finance questions and common application. But here are some tips to help you navigate through it. Gathered all your required documents just like you would do for Common App. Create your account early. So again, double star the October 1st date because it's coming quicker than we think. Read through the instructions carefully. There are going to be probably some words that are difficult just because it is dealing with bank statements, financial background of your parents and or household members that are helping you pay for school. So definitely, even if you need someone to sit with you and read through it, definitely do that so you don't accidentally mistaken or miss something. College Board actually has a really great pre-application worksheet on their website. So you can go look at the worksheet before it opens on October 1st. So you can go ahead and see what questions are they going to ask you. And that way you can go ahead and get all the information together from that pre-application worksheet. And that way when it opens, you have everything and you upload it that day. I also saw that you need to save the application regularly. So, if you're working on something and you accidentally close it out, you're going to have to start all over. So that would be so upsetting. I would cry. So make sure that you save it a bunch of times, especially when you upload your documents, because once you kind of close out or if you go to a different page, it is seemingly popular for it to erase your data. So definitely save it. And keep confirmation. I take a little folder, honestly, and I save all of my information in one folder on my computer. So I know that I have all the documents that I uploaded into the systems. So definitely keep it for your records. So if maybe the university reaches out and says, hey, Ramiro, like you uploaded your dad's bank statement, but unfortunately it's not showing through on our side. Did you upload it? He saved it to his computer in his folder. So he could just email it directly to this school if they ask for it. So that's why it makes it a lot easier if you just save everything in one spot in case the university reaches out to you directly to ask for it. Now, in conclusion, with both the Common App and CSS profile, they are both, their goals is to simplify the process, not only for you guys, but for the university. So whatever you fill out in those applications, it gets sent directly to us. You don't have to worry about reaching out to us to say, hey, did you get this? You don't have to send us all the documents that you already uploaded in those systems. We automatically are notified and it goes directly into our system. So that is the great thing about both of these applications. Now, they can do different purposes based on the institution, but really it's crucial for you guys to review the specific requirements of each college. And I know that is time consuming, and it is because we are very different, but that's why we're here. And of course, Education USA does a great job of having all these webinars for you with the different types of colleges, different universities. So that way you can kind of see, okay, what am I leaning towards? So when it comes time to apply for these important dates, you already kind of know what you're leaning towards. And so that is a really great way for you to also have that planning. So it's really good you're attending their webinars today. But I did come across some questions that I have received and our university has received, just a few. Again, we don't accept the CSS, but I did my best to type in answers that I thought maybe you guys would have regarding both applications. So one of the first questions I would put was like, when should I complete the CSS profile and common application? I put Texas State, but again, it could be any institution. But deadlines for Common App are very different. So like I mentioned, for spring 2025, they're not even open yet. So the good news is you have time to wait and work on that. But for different colleges and universities, the CSS profile, I would definitely go and take a look at, depending on the university that you're interested in, because they may require it earlier than other institutions. I saw Xavier had a deadline. Their internal deadline was earlier than our internal deadline. So even just then I was like, oh, that could be 1 month, you could have applied to one institution and you missed it. So definitely double check their websites. And it is recommended to start as early as possible. So I know it can be very overwhelming to be like, oh my goodness, I have to apply, a year in advance. You definitely don't have to do that, but make sure you apply within, a few months before, in case the university, number one, needs to follow up with you if they didn't receive something through Common App or CSS. That's one of the biggest things that happens at our institution, is we have to follow up with students who maybe, number one, missed uploading something in the Common App. Maybe they uploaded the same document for every field and we were like, oh, that will not do. So it's really just kind of following up with you to make sure we have everything, and that does honestly take some time. Can I use the essay for Common App for multiple colleges? So I do get this question since you are applying to a lot of colleges in Common App. And the answer is yes, you could do this. Again, I would be very cautious when it comes to copying and pasting or into every application, just because every program is not offered at every institution. So you'd have to tailor it that way. You might want to tailor, of course, the school's name. So just little things that you could miss if you were just pasting the same generic essay. Our admissions team reads a lot of essays, so they know when you're speaking, from the heart and telling really about yourself versus more of a template. So definitely take time to tailor it to make it personable to you and the institution that you're applying to. And one of the last questions I put is, where can I find more information or get help with Common App or CSS? I did put their links, or excuse me, well, I guess you don't have the link on here, but there's the websites there for Common App and College Board. Our admissions team is also happy to help you. That is our job. We want for you to have a seamless process. So if you're stuck in Common App and you don't know what to do, please email me and I would be happy to hop in on our side and take a look for you. Now, keep in mind, I don't have access to the whole Common App. Whenever you apply to the university, that's when we can see your information. So for example, if you apply to, I don't know, we'll say University of Central Florida, and you're like, hey, Courtney, I uploaded my Common App for University of Central Florida. Can you look at it? I cannot, because it's not tied to my profile, not tied to my university. So you would have to reach out to an admissions analyst for every school you apply to. Again, if you're having difficulties with the application. Typically, they will also connect you to the financial aid offices, so you do not have to do that on your own. At Texas State, I'm just the main person for both admissions and financial aid, so that would be an easy way just to connect with one person. But that's how they would guide you accordingly to the CSS profile if you had questions about that and selected their school. I also put here that you can contact me at any point in time, even if it's a different university and you just want to know about coming to the US, I'm happy to help answer it. I put my email. I have a little QR code you can scan to set up a virtual meeting with me, just like this, to talk about kind of the concerns you might have or more information about this topic or Texas State. And of course, always CC your Education USA advisor. We work closely, again, to help your transition from your home country to the US. And we want to be on the same page. So that way, again, when you're going to them in person for support, I'm able to communicate with them clearly of what you're needing to help you be successful. So definitely feel free to email both of us so we can answer any of your concerns. But that is really all I had today, because that is one big topic. But I definitely wanted to leave enough time for questions that I can help answer. I saw there's some chats, so I'm definitely going to switch here. And if you need my email, if you didn't get it in time, let me know and I can provide it in the chat as well. Oh, you're putting links. Thank you. Perfect. Has anyone started the Common App before? Has anyone started? I see some head nods, so perfect.
Courtney, I have a question for you.
Yes.
What are the most common mistakes students make when they are filling out the Common Application?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So I would say definitely the biggest one's the personal statement, kind of having that common template that they're sending a bunch of universities. We don't require recommendation letters, but a lot of students do upload them. And what happens is I have seen with the recommendation letters is that sometimes the recommenders puts a specific college name into it. And so, if you're uploading that same recommendation letter and we see a different university's name or a different program we don't offer, we don't accept that recommendation letter. So really all of the letters that you're uploading, whether it's personal statement is a really big one. Those recommendation letters, they have to be specialized. I know it's a little bit of a burden sometimes to be like, hey, Ramiro, will you write me 6, recommendation letters? But really there is a template that your recommender would utilize and help change it up a little bit, but that is a very huge thing that our admissions team sees quite often.
Thank you. And I have another question about the information uploaded to the Common Application. So
Yeah.
after it's being submitted, is there a way to change some information?
Yeah, so the students can definitely re-log in utilizing their username and password they used to set it up. And if there's a concern, like maybe you already submitted it and you know that we're seeing your documents, feel free to send them to us directly and say, hey, Courtney, I've already submitted you my application. I accidentally, sent you that personal statement I did not want to attach to this form. Here's my updated one, and we'll change it. So it's as easy as just emailing us directly and we'll change out your information for you.
And are there any resources available for students to get help with their Common Application? It could be your campus or it could be other sources.
Yeah, so we do have an admissions team that utilizes Common App. We actually have one main admission counselor. Him and myself, we work very closely. And so for one point of contact, please feel free to contact me. Just because I can also see your Common App profile. So if you said, hey, Courtney, can you jump on it with me? Let's look at it together. I am happy to do so. When it comes to other universities, every contact is going to be very different. So you might have someone in financial aid. More than likely, it's going to be admissions. So just email the generic admissions email that's on the bottom of the university's webpage typically, and just say, hey, I'm trying to, get my Common Application finished. Is there a set person that could help me do this? And they would assign a person to you.
Thank you so much. And I won't stop talking. I want to ask questions. So guys, it's now or never. Ask your questions. Courtney is open to answer all of your questions. Remember, there are no right or wrong questions. They're just questions. So
very true. I love that.
yeah,
and the thing is the Common App, again, in CSS, the great thing about those two applications is they walk you through everything. So if you're concerned, like, oh, how do I know I'm going to fill out every section? Before you can even move on to the next page, when you click next, it will let you know if you did not do something right. So when you start the process, just know not only do you have the support of actual people, but you have the support of the application itself. Marianne, do you have some questions? Oh, I saw a question in the chat too. Marianne, you go first.
Thank you. Oh, okay, thank you. Could you talk about the process for application fee waivers?
For within Common App? I'm sorry. Is that what you
Yes.
mentioned?
Yes, in Common App.
Yeah, that's a great question. So, for example, with Texas State, when students go to apply through Common App, there will be a section that informs you have to pay an application fee. With Xavier University, since they also use Common App, if you selected their name when selecting what university you want to go to, it would not pop up an application fee at all, because from what I heard, she mentioned they were free to apply to. So whatever school you select, it will pop up a notification if there's an application fee needed for you to submit it. Does that help answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Perfect. Yes, of course.
There's another question on the chat. Pilar is asking, I know that you already answered this question, but can you clarify a little bit about the personal statement? Because
Yeah.
Pilar is asking that if she can submit the same personal statement to different universities.
Yes, so with Common App, you are able to do so. So if you are applying to 4 to 5 universities in the US, you are able to use the same statement. Just be very, very cautious of the wording you're using. So if you're saying, I'm Courtney and I want to study computer science, but I send it to Xavier University and they don't have computer science, they're going to be like, oh, we don't know what program she's wanting. So really, when you're tailoring your personal statement, if you want it to be generic and just talk about you as a person and your career goals, that is great. Just know that some universities, like Xavier University, said they want their personal statement to be very detailed. They want you to put the extracurricular activities you did in high school. They want you to tie it to the program you're applying to with them. So I would just caution you that some schools would like your personal statement to be tailored, but to the simple answer, yes, you could do the same one if you wish.
Thank you, Courtney. And there's another question on the chat.
Yeah.
Natalia is asking, are there scholarships available for international students at Texas State University?
Yes, so we have quite a few scholarships at Texas State. What I can do too is we have different scholarships based on the type of student that you are. So I have heard there is a transfer student in here. So we do have transfer scholarships just for transfer international. We have freshman international scholarships. And we also have master level. So at Texas State, we have over 200 degrees. So there are tons of scholarships, especially for high school. So if you're looking to go to college for the first time, we have a great deal at our institution. Is if you just get over 1,000 US dollars in scholarship, you automatically qualify as Texas residency. So it cuts your tuition in half. So just to put it in perspective, I'm very transparent, so I'll just be honest. With our cost for tuition, fees, on-campus housing, because in the US we love to live on campus, books, etc., the total amount is 42,000 US dollars. But if you get that $1,000 scholarship or more, you only have to pay 29,000 US dollars, and that's including everything. Now, keep in mind, we do let you stack scholarships. So if you say, hey, Courtney, not only did I get over $1,000, I got a merit scholarship, which is high performing, you can add that scholarship. So now your cost will be even lower than 29,000. But that one scholarship is the biggest one that our students do try to receive. And like I mentioned, for Mexican citizens specifically at Texas State, we have an application only for you that would provide you tuition assistance for being a Mexican student. So I will put that here in the chat so you can take time to look at it, since it is a separate application, but that helps cover you for your tuition. Yes, Sada.
Hi, Courtney. I've seen that some universities ask for additional essays on why do you want to attend specifically to that university.
Yeah.
So do you have any tips on that?
Oh, that's a good one. I would say if it was me, like if I was writing to Texas State, just an example as a student, I would really put in the major. So I would say, hey, I'm Courtney. The major I'm looking to do is international business. I'm just doing that because it's my major, so it's easier for me to connect. I'm looking to do international business because in the future, I want to work in the politics. I want to be a diplomat, and so being able to do this major at Texas State would really benefit me in the future of what my career goals are. And then you tie it back to high school. Some things I'm doing right now to prepare myself to join Texas State for this major would be I have volunteered in Education USA. They're a government organization. I've been volunteering. So it ties in with your major. So I would definitely try to say, what are the clubs, organizations, volunteer activities that are tying to the major that I want at that institution and why their program is going to help me in my future. So I hope that is helpful, but that's definitely how I would organize it.
Natalia?
Yes, Natalia?
Yes, I have a question about the recommendation letters because
Yeah.
I think the student cannot see the recommendation letters. So how can we submit it? The teacher or the mentor has to submit it, or like how can we add to our Common App profile?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So what happens is, say I want Mariana to be my recommender. What I would do, of course, is I would ask Mariana if she would be my recommender. And if so, what they usually do is have you enter their email. So I would need to ask her, what is the best form of way that the Common App can contact her? Because what happens is when I put in her email, it will automatically send her a form that she will have to fill out. Once she fills it out and clicks I'm done, it will then show in Common App as she completed it. If maybe Natalia goes in and checks in her Common App and she's like, oh, for some reason it still shows my recommender, there's nothing there. That's when you need to call Mariana and say, hey, I just wanted to check and see if you've completed this recommendation letter for it's due in a couple weeks. So it's really, kind of on you to follow up with your recommender to make sure it is uploaded into your profile. But the good news is Common App does send a form to your recommender for you. You're just kind of having to make sure that they complete it for you. That's a great question.
And there's another question on the chat. So Mariana says, so it's necessary that one mentor writes one letter of recommendation for every university, or just change the name of the university?
Yeah, you can just honestly change your template. A lot of recommenders keep a template on file and then just change the university name, change the program, the name of the student even. So you might say, I'm Courtney Sears writing a recommendation letter on behalf of Natalia. And then you can go in and change it for all of your students. So that is a really great example. Yes, you can just keep one and then change it as needed.
Thank you, Courtney. And there's another question for Marianne. Do we use the SMART goal to write about our objectives and
Yeah.
our personal statement?
That's a great one. Yes. Oh my goodness. I still use that from high school. I remember my teacher making me use SMART goals. But yes, you still use it even today, honestly. So definitely utilize SMART goals. There are a lot of materials, and I'm sure even Education USA has programs and materials for you guys about SMART goals. But it's definitely helpful because it provides you a layout of how to make a personal statement if honestly you've never written one. So if you've never had that before, that is a really great resource and a great idea to utilize to make sure that all of the steps that individuals want in a personal statement is completed. So that's good.
Thank you. And I have another question. I know that you've already covered the Common App and the CSS profile wonderfully. The main question our students have now during the boot camp and is, when is the perfect time to apply for scholarships beyond the CSS profile or the Common App? Could you explain a little bit more about this? The best timing for students to apply for financial aid.
Yeah, that's a really great question. So I'm thinking of how to organize this in my head. So with fall 2024, so say, for example, you wanted to go abroad in fall. I'm just doing it with dates how we do it, but it is closed. So for example, if you were planning to go abroad and you didn't check the deadlines, now it's kind of a missed opportunity for the scholarships and financial aid because universities are closing their applications so that we have time to send your awards, we have time to help you get enrolled in classes. But when it comes to spring 2025, as soon as Common App opens their application, you can apply. just note that scholarships, you cannot apply to them until you're admitted. So I do have some students email me and say, hey, Courtney, I'm trying to apply for these scholarships, what's happening? And I see they're not done with their Common App application. And therefore, our admissions team can't even provide you a decision if you're admitted or not. So definitely be sure to really hone your focus on completing your Common App, uploading all of your documents, because all universities do require you to receive an admission letter. So they'll email you. Some universities send physical, but I think now all of us are shifting to digital platforms. But we'll email you and say, hey, you've been admitted. Now here's scholarships that you can apply to. Now, like Ramiro was mentioning, you can go ahead and research online to make sure which ones you qualify for. So after you're admitted, you can say, okay, I made a list. I know which ones I want to apply to, and you can do it then. So honestly, it's as early as you finish your application, because you can't apply until you finish it. So really, if you know that you want to study in the US next year, just keep an eye out for those opening dates. But yes, I hope that was a good enough reasoning. Really, it's as soon as you finish your application, how early you can start it is when you can then start applying for scholarships.
And are there any common scholarships for that students can get automatically awarded?
Yes. Yeah. No, great question. We have 2 scholarships at Texas State. A few other institutions have them automatically, but they're not all the same. But for our institution and some other Texas schools, we do merit and assured scholarships. Like he said, the good news is you don't have to do anything. We do everything for you, but we do wait until you're admitted, because our financial team then says, like, we get a notification that says, okay, this student's profile is ready for review. They will review it. Within 2 weeks, you're sent an email whether you get this automatic scholarship or not. Those are all of our scholarships for high achieving students. So, you know your GPAs. And so with that, you would be notified. Now, if something happens and you don't get an email in a few weeks, don't be discouraged that you didn't get an automatic scholarship. There are plenty of more opportunities for you. We do have even our own portal that has all donor scholarships. So people that have graduated from our university and left funding for students to be able to go to school. But yes, we do have those automatic scholarships that you don't have to worry about, but we also have those that you can apply to if you did not receive an automatic one.
Thank you, Courtney.
Yeah,
there are 2 questions on the chat. One's from Natalia, and she's asking, are the essay prompts always the same every year, or shared when the early decision opens? How do we know the essay prompts of every university?
Oh my, yes, that's going to be hard, because what happens is when you start the application, that's when it'll be listed in there. But I cannot speak that every university will keep the same essay. I do know some institutions do change it, maybe not yearly, but they'll change it every other year, just to, get different feedback from students. So yes, the essay prompts could definitely change. So keep that in mind. But yeah, so I would say, I was reading the other you had 2 questions there, so I was making sure I answered both of them. How do we know the essay prompts of every university? Typically, they put them on their admissions webpage. So if you went Texas State, well, we don't have the personal essay, so forget I said that. Say you're doing Xavier University and you go, they will say a personal statement is required, and they will tell you what they want in your essay. So even for our master's level programs, we require essays for them, and they put even on our website exactly what they want the student to talk about. So be sure whichever university you're applying to, you go to their admissions page to see the topic. But again, it could change every year. So if you have a friend that might have applied to a university before you, definitely, not that I'm saying not that your word is not trustworthy, but definitely double check your work, so that way you don't write about a prompt that the university does not want. So definitely double check that.
There's another question from Marianne. I think you haven't talked about it, but it said the merit scholarship is only for the early action appliers.
Okay, now this is very interesting. I was listening to Xavier University, and at Texas State, we don't have early admission. We have one deadline. We like to keep it simple. So we have one deadline for our scholarships and everything at one time. So, for example, for fall 2024, all applications closed for everybody June 1st, because that is our deadline for application documents. So we even closed our finances that same time. So for those for spring 2025, the Merit Scholarship is open for everyone. So even people who applied early with us, we still allow people to receive scholarships, even if they're waiting a few months after. Now, keep in mind that financial aid, how it works within universities is they have a sum of funding. So what happens is if you do wait, so maybe you wait a few weeks before the application deadline closes, you're kind of going to the university last minute to apply, you might not get one because you did wait till the last minute and the funding has been given out to students. So again, the early action, like Mariana mentioned, they will have a really good opportunity because they're finishing their application, getting admitted faster. All scholarship opportunities are still saved, even for people applying to last minute if there's still funding available. So that is definitely the way I would word it.
Thank you, Courtney. And there's another question in the chat. Marianne is asking, how do we know what every university wants in their essays?
Yeah, typically admissions are very transparent in what they want on their website. So even, I mean, not for us because we don't require it, but other universities like Xavier was mentioning, they want to have extracurricular activities. They want their work experience listed in there. They want the programs. So what you would do is go to the admissions webpage. So really what even I could do is I could type in admissions, Texas State, and automatically in Google, the first link is undergrad admissions. So you would click that, look through their admission requirements, and kind of look at what do they want in their personal essay, because a lot of universities will tell you exactly what they want in it. That's a great question.
Thank you. And there is another one about the CSS.
Yeah.
Does the financial aid of the CSS profile covers something, or is just to give you money?
Yes, so it covers your funding for your education. So what happens with CSS for some institutions is once you fill it out, it will go directly to the institution that you select in your CSS profile, and it will go towards your tuition. So if you do receive funding from the school, it will cover your tuition. Like I mentioned earlier, the CSS, some schools in the US utilize it to give scholarships. So if you select a university, you send your profile to them, they will that's given that scholarship towards your tuition too. So really the financial aid and scholarships are given towards tuition purposes.
Thank you. And there's another one. Is there a cost for filling the CSS profile?
With the profile and even for Common App, I'm glad you mentioned that, so that way I can cover both, because I don't know if I mentioned it for Common App, so I definitely wanted to double check. So for Common App, it is free, but if the university requires an application fee, you do have to upload it through Common App. So again, like with ourselves, you would have to upload the $90 application fee. So if I didn't mention that, at Texas State, it is a $90 application fee. But with Xavier, if you went to their profile and select their name when you started the Common App, it would not generate that for you. So Common App is free, and the funding that you submit goes to the school because that is our application. Now with CSS, I definitely believe it's the same layout. I don't want to lie to you because at Texas State, we don't use it. So we don't charge individuals for utilizing this cost. I have heard that it kind of does have the same setup as Common App, whereas based on the institution you're going to, it could provide a charge, but not all universities require this charge. So what happened is with Xavier University, they told Common App that they don't charge an application fee through their system, so they turned it off. Same with CSS. If we took it and Xavier University took it, we would tell them if we wanted a fee associated with that application, and they would add it. If Xavier said no, they would turn that off. So really it does depend on the school that you're applying to, and it will populate in there. But double check your university's web pages. I know it's a lot to look through them, but they will tell you exactly on the admission criteria if you will have to upload an application fee in your CSS or Common App, because we do on our website. So a lot of universities are very transparent with that.
Thank you, Courtney. And the last question on the chat, Sada is asking, does Texas State University accept students on rolling basis?
We do. Yes, we do.
Is there any other questions, guys? No?
That's a lot of
No.
information for one day, isn't it?
Yes.
That's awesome.
Thank you so much, Courtney, for your time and your dedication in delivering this informative presentation on the CSS profile and the common application.
I would just like to say that Courtney kept her activity till the end. So
yes, I
yes.
totally forgot the activity.
Don't worry. So now we'll know if students paid attention.
Oh, here we go. Mariana's like, I've been waiting for this moment.
I'm actually, yeah, exactly.
I'm loving it. Perfect. I was gonna see how I could, because it's Kahoot. I don't know if you guys use Kahoot. We used it a lot in high school. She's like, yeah. So we use a lot of high school and in college. Actually, we use it quite a bit. So I was gonna see if it could. How many people do we have on here? It says 10. But what I could do is I could play, and then you guys type in your answers in the chat, and then we can see if we were right or wrong. Let me see here.
I'm gonna play just to make some pressure.
Let's see. So it says, let's do this. Okay. It says up to 10 players. I will not play unless, so everyone can have a
Okay,
chance.
I want.
Okay. You definitely can.
No, I'm
but
just kidding.
here is the Kahoot. This is about Common App. So if there are, we can test our knowledge here together, because I'm sure there's gonna be hard questions on here that even I don't remember. So it's okay. It'll be a quiz for me too. I don't know if you guys can hear the theme music either. It's like dun, 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 dun. Can you hear it? No? It's a little fun music. Ah, sad.
I think you can share your sound if you click on the on the bottom of your screen. There are like 3 dots maybe there.
Music,
and then exactly, and then you have the option to share the sound of your computer. But it's okay. It's okay.
I love the little animals. I think they're animals. Animals with style.
And I like that everyone is like, we don't know, because I cannot see the students' names, right? So it's gonna be a mystery till the end.
All right. Is everyone ready? Yeah? Okay, let's do it. Oh my goodness. Intense music there. I hear the music now. I try to turn it up. Oh. What happened here? 20. Wait, who got 20? Wow, 4 of you. Geniuses. Ready? Silver Gecko, if you would like to make your presence known, you are in the lead. All schools require the same information. That is why it's called Common App. What happened here? All schools require the same information. That's why it's called Common App. True or false? I feel like there's difficulties with this one. Oh, good job. False. Silver. Oh, how the tables have turned. Adorable Panthers in the lead. Man, this is even pretty intense for me watching. Okay. And there's 10 questions, so don't feel like it goes on forever. Why might colleges not require letters of recommendations or essays? You have 10 seconds remaining. I feel like a host.
These are great questions.
Ooh, good job. We'll see if the individual kept the lead or if the tables have turned again. Nice job. Oh, you kept your lead. Perfect. The personal, oh, I didn't cover this one. Well, we'll see what happens here. Wow, a lot of you got that one. I'm very surprised. I feel like there's people who've taken Common App on here, but I love it. Perfect. 250 to 650 words. Da-da.
Yeah, can you imagine Courtney reading a 2,000 words essay? Yeah,
Oh
no,
my
no way.
gosh, I can't. I have been given personal statements where people could upload them, like without using Common App. Like some universities have their own application. They were very long, very, very long. Nice job. The section contains where you're from, language you speak, country of citizenship, profile. Still in the lead. All right. I wish I had a prize. I'm so sorry. Like Mariana mentioned, points, question mark. If a college asks for one letter of recommendation, it is best to. Nice job. Send exactly what is requested, one letter. So colleges are very open about how many letters that they want. Oh, all right. You got to keep your positions held strong because there's only 4 questions left. So what is not a section of the Common App? My colleges, financial aid, college shirts, or careers? Careers. Good job. Well, I did very well. Oh my goodness. There's even a highlight at the bottom. Has a streak with 4 correct answers in a row. Nice job. Well, 3 more. So let's see if you can make it the last 3 here. True or false, the personal essay only has has only 2 different options. False. Every university can choose their own question that they would like you to write your personal essay about. Oh my gosh, Silver Gecko has taken the lead. All right, y'all, 2 more questions. Scholarship opportunities can be found in which section? My colleges, financial aid, profile are not available in the Common App. This one's a tricky one. Good job. I thought people would put not available in the Common App. Last question, moment of truth. This will be for the final winner. College application deadlines are just a recommendation of when to turn in your application. True or false? And more seconds. False. That is correct. College application deadlines are super important and they have to be met on time. But good job. We'll now get to see the winner podium. So in third place, we have a rabbit. Second place, a duck. And in first place, does anyone want to shed their light on who was first? Who was the silver gecko? Or will it remain a mystery for us?
It looks like Einstein, right? Yeah.
It was me.
Yay! Congrats, Anna.
Awesome. Okay, well, I hope you guys liked the game. I love Kahoot, but y'all did really, really great. Some of those questions are a little confusing, so it can be. I'm glad y'all did really well.
Thank you so much for the activity, Courtney. It was amazing.
course.
And well, I hope you had a great time with us. I'm confident that our students have gained valuable insights that will support them in the future applications. And Courtney, we hope you enjoyed again the
So much
session. And before we conclude, I would like to take a moment to take a picture of this moment. So please, guys, turn on your cameras. I don't know if Mariana can help me out with the picture.
Of course I can. So you know the dynamics. One, I'm gonna take two. 1, 2, 3. Someone's calling Ramiro. And I'm gonna take the other one. Don't worry. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Well,
Thank you
so
so much. I had a really great time. Thank you guys for letting me come and be a part of it, and especially to all the students. Thank you for taking time out of your summer to be here. More about the opportunities that Education USA has provided you. I can't wait to see where you guys go off and what colleges you choose in the future, but I'm very excited for you guys. So thank you all for listening to me today.
We look forward to seeing you in future sessions, Courtney.
Yes, I would love to.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you
guys.
so much. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, guys, we got to the last part of our today's bootcamp.
And good news. The session will be dismissed earlier. Woo!
You did a very good job during the sessions. We really love your questions. I mean, you're beyond our expectations.
Yeah, your questions and your participations are just stunning. Like, yeah, we think that you have, I don't know, like you've done your research before, like being with us in this bootcamp. But yeah, congrats on that too. Your participation is everything in this bootcamp, and we are super excited about tomorrow's session that is gonna be about essays, and I'm forgetting the second part.
It's with the future.
Film. Tomorrow is, well, I have loved it, all sessions, but tomorrow's is my favorite. Like, really is my favorite. You will have a lot of fun tomorrow for sure. That's for sure.
And please investigate what's critical thinking about.
Yes.
Use it tomorrow.
Yeah, it's gonna be super fun. So before, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Could you repeat the question, please?
The question? What question? We were talking about, yeah, go ahead.
Career goal or something that Ramiro said?
Oh no, that tomorrow's session will cover 2 topics. Application essays, super important, and critical thinking. How to use your critical thinking skills
for writing
to make exactly for writing essays and for the overall application. But tomorrow's session, your parents are invited to join, because for the second part, I think even though it's gonna be in English, they will benefit a lot from the content. So yes, Natalia.
Yeah, I have a question about the last homework. The deadline was today at 10 p.m. No, at 10 a.m. Sorry, but I had a question and I could not submit it because I can answer the questions, like what strategies can you implement, that questions. In the page, I don't know why I can't. It just, when I try to type, it just everything raised and I don't know what to do.
You mean the file? Excel?
Yes,
You're-
yes.
Okay. Let me check that. Can you send me an email? So I can help you with that portion of the task. Yeah,
Thank you.
of course. Any other questions? Nope. Everything's super clear. Okay. Well, yeah, Marian.
Go ahead.
Something that happened to me in that homework is that I tried to, well, first I put the homework in classroom, the link, I submitted, and then it didn't let me to write. So I guess that it was for that reason. So what I did to submit the homework, but also complete a few things that I need to, is to copy the link in a page, in a word or something, and then submit that so I can write in the Excel. I don't know if that's happening to you, Natalia.
Maybe yes. Maybe that's happening to her too. And probably to Sara and Ana Sofia because they raised their hands. But again, you can download the document and then you can work as an Excel document in your computers. And then once you're done, you can re-upload that homework to the Google Classroom. Because remember that Excel and Google Sheets are not compatible, so it's a mess sometimes. So the advice here is to download the file, work with that file on your computers, and then re-upload or send or turn in the task, the file completed. Okay, so I don't know if that answered to your question, or Marian, or your participation. Does that make sense? Did that make sense? Okay, perfect. Sara and then Ana Sofia.
Yes, I have a question on the thing that is for in-state students. Like we are charged with the in-state students tuition for Texas, right?
For
So
Texas
where can we?
state, if you are Mexican, that's super specific of that institution. Yes.
I thought it was like for all the state, but thank you.
Yeah, but that's a really good question. So remember that in the US, when you are an international student, you're usually considered out of state tuition, like payer. So for example, let's say that you are a domestic student, right? And you live in Ohio, but you want to go to school to California. So the school in California will charge you the out of state, because you live out of the state of California, tuition. But if the university in California has an agreement with Ohio, for example, the state, maybe you can have access to benefits as the one that Courtney explained with Texas State University. But that's for out of state students and international students. So you will be considered out of state student.
And remember to go online and check the university's website. You will see the Mexican tuition waivers, so you can ask for the in-state tuition.
Exactly.
Not all of the universities in Texas offers the Mexican tuition waiver, however, you can ask the admissions department.
Yes, and especially for the states that are next to Mexico, for example, California, Texas, Arizona. Ooh, let's go Arizona. New Mexico, and I'm missing one, probably. I'm not sure. I said everything: California, Arizona, Texas, New Mexico. I think that's all. But yes, especially for those states, you can have those kind of like benefits. Ana Sofia.
Yeah, I have a question about community colleges. It kind of consists in two parts, but the second part depends on the first one. So it's to my understanding that if you complete 2 years in a community college, you get an associate's degree.
Exactly.
And then if you take another 2 years in another community college, or I don't know if it can be the same one, you get another associate's degree, and that could be considered as kind of like a bachelor's degree.
I'm not sure. I don't think so.
You don't get a second associate degree.
Exactly. It's like in Mexico, if you go, for example, because we don't have, well, we have actually, but if, for example, if you, exactly. If you go to an institution that offers a carrera técnica, and then you go to another institution that offers carreras técnicas, you will have two carreras técnicas, not a licenciatura, if that makes sense. So the only possibility for you to get a bachelor's degree is talking about community colleges, is to start at a community college and then transfer to a 4-year institution. And I remember that we discussed this when we were talking in the advising center, right?
Okay, thank you. That's all, because you already answered the second part, so thank you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Ana Sofia, for your question. And Sofia.
I just want to say that I could not send the Monday's homework.
Oh, no, I'm kidding. Go ahead.
But I tried to send it yesterday, and the classroom says that
you cannot, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that's true. Again, we're not a school, we're EducationUSA, and the tasks are for you to help you with your application process. So what I'm going to do right now, after we leave this session, is that for the people who sent their homework on email, that's okay. We are going to check the tasks on email. But I'm gonna change the deadlines. So instead of having like a hard deadline, I'm gonna open it so you can upload your homework during this week. So you will have as a hard deadline Friday, 11:59 p.m. Mexico City time. So you can upload everything that you need to complete. So I'm gonna do that for you guys. But make sure that to do it.
And remember, guys, that this homework is not all about the boot camp. You can have those records with you and go with your advisor and tell them your work and your dedication through the boot camp, so they can guide you in further steps, not to only focus on the first steps. Exactly. So you can go directly to the application form.
Exactly. This is actually not homework. These are tools for you to help you understand this process and to like take advantage of the time that you are spending every day this week to work faster on your application process, because it's July, and remember that some schools have application deadlines in November or in December. So we're okay with time, but yeah, just don't consider homework as homework, but consider the tasks as tools for you to advance your process. Any other questions before we go? One more question. Nope. Okay, Ramiro.
We're fresh as limes. Well, it's time for us to finish this session, and we really appreciate your time. I know it sometimes can be tiring being 3 hours in a row, but it's part of the process, and this will pay off. And
exactly.
And thank you so much once again. So we hope to see you tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to have a session.
Yeah, and it's gonna be 4th of July. Yay! An American holiday. So we're excited about that too. So okay, class dismissed. Enjoy the rest of your day. We'll see you tomorrow. We're writing an email to my EducationUSA advisor right now. That's the spirit, Marian. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Hello,
I have
Antonella.
a last
Shoot
question.
it.
Sorry.